Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Please welcome Susan Tenby to the stage. Hi, Susan.
Hi, nice to meet you, or nice to see you again, I should
Yeah,
say.
nice to see you again too. We have Gigi as well, if Gigi's around. But
Yeah, Gigi's sleeping right now, but when she jumps, I can grab her. Hold on one second. So
yeah.
oh, sorry, Gigi, to wake you up. This is Gigi.
Hi, Gigi.
This is Gigi, the talking chihuahua.
Yeah, amazing. We're super excited to have you on the show, Susan. Susan, you've been doing some work in community for over 22 years, which makes you one of the most experienced community professionals out there. So very, very exciting. My name is Sebastian. I'm co-founder at Melting Spot. We're a community platform, the platform that we're using to host this show. And yeah, we're thrilled to invite community professionals every second week, and we have great guests on the show. And very excited to have you on board, Susan.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great. So you're in San Francisco. We're in Paris. So we hope to have a wide variety of people from across Europe and the States. And we're gonna get cracking. Please tell us who you are, what you do at TechSoup, what TechSoup does.
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
go.
Happy to. So, I'm Susan Tenby. I am the director of global community at TechSoup. So, what that means is I oversee our forums, our social media, our community-based events, um, our regional community meetups, which during COVID went virtual, which was actually good because that meant they could go topical rather than just being a regions, and our newest community, which is a membership community. In TechSoup, which is called Quad. So anything basically that connects users to us or users to each other is what I work on.
Brilliant. And can you remind us again what TechSoup does for nonprofits
Oh
and what they can
yes,
find on
sorry.
TechSoup?
So
No, that's fine.
TechSoup is a nonprofit organization. We were originally founded in 1987 as a small nonprofit in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, called CompuMentor. And then we became TechSoup in 2000, which is when I got hired. And TechSoup helps nonprofits with their technology. So we do that through a number of different ways. We are a nonprofit ourselves, as I mentioned, so we're grant funded, but we also are social enterprise. So we distribute products like the big products you would think of, Adobe, Asana, and hundreds of others in a catalog. Nonprofits don't just kind of buy like Amazon; they have to actually apply to be a part of our catalog. And once they get validated as a 501(c)(3) and they fit the criteria, they can use our catalog and get products. And that social enterprise funds the rest of the organization, which helps nonprofits with their tech. So we have consulting services, we have um, courses. We have all the community things I talked about earlier. We also have our product catalog, which I just mentioned. And so anything that helps nonprofits do the good work they do using technology is what TechSoup does.
That's brilliant. Really, really nice. And as we talked about it during our prep talk, but running a nonprofit is very similar to running a for-profit business in so many ways. Like you have to acquire new members or new customers. You have to communicate. You have to streamline your processes. You have to use software. You have to mind your balance sheet and your revenues. So it makes a lot of sense to actually help nonprofits with all these processes and tools and help them choose the right softwares and stuff. So well done. We're excited to have you on stage. The whole point of this talk is to try and help our community builders, whether they're from nonprofits or for-profit organizations, turn passive audiences into engaged communities. And we're going to talk about how you can use social media to grow audience and turn them into meetings and then eventually turn them into advocates. So we're going to see how we can climb that engagement ladder, because the whole point of community is that it goes beyond audiences, right? So let's get cracking. So tell us about the quad community or any other community that you've built at TechSoup.
Sure. And I just wanted to mention also that TechSoup is a global organization. So I mentioned that we started in San Francisco. So we were just a very hyper local organization that taught nonprofits about tech through volunteers. Now we're a global organization. So, the community aspect is very important because it's because nonprofits have specific questions that are very region specific and location specific. We have a network of global partners, so they're able to answer those questions in the local language with the local knowledge. So the different communities that we have that I have launched and I oversee our forums community, and they fall under the different buckets of the different types of communities that are out there. So, for example, our forums community was the first one I launched, and I launched it, I think, in 2001, and it's still going strong, and it's a very transactional support community. It's a Q&A community where people come to ask their question, they get an answer, and they leave. The problem with those kind of communities, it's more difficult to find the star users and to grow the community, because most people just come there for a question to be answered. So the key in that kind of community and growing and sustaining that kind of community is asking follow-up questions, following up with the users, like, how did it work out? Or even just, oh, I see that you live in Georgia. Whereabouts, like, I know this place, or you live in San Francisco, do you know this person? Asking personal follow-up questions is the key to keeping a transactional Q&A community going and thriving, which is what we have. And we have identified, and we've had the same forum hosts, the same like group of 7 of them for years, for like almost the whole time. Some of them have been there 20 years, and they're volunteers. We give them a small stipend, and they answer our users' questions, which I'll get to how to identify them and create that body of super fans in a minute. Another community that we have is our community on social media. So we have a pretty active community on Twitter and Facebook, smaller community on LinkedIn, and smaller community on Instagram and TikTok. We're kind of growing those. But we also have this new community, Quad, which is a membership-based community. We launched that one with the issue area of food security. So that community, as you might see, there many communities are turning to subscription-based membership for kind of added value. So that one's different than our forums, because that one, people can go into way more detail. They can promote what they're doing. And that one's very much peer-to-peer kind of issue based. That one's like a community of focus rather than a transactional Q&A. So that one will connect people, like these people who are interested in food security, with each other and allow them to talk to each other, become friends. We have stories of someone presenting a question and needing someone and someone else helping them. So it's allowing people to kind of find the camaraderie. That's a different kind of community. Then we have these also the regional communities, which used to be called Net Squared, are now called TechSoup Connect. Those are all over the world, and they're volunteer run. And those are basically a community of purpose. These are like meetups, like a running group would be the same. So we have these multiple kinds of communities across the map, and we
So
manage them in
sort
different
of
ways.
project-based, purpose-based, and Q&A transactional communities, right?
Support-based.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you find that smaller communities tend to be more active than larger ones?
They are, yeah, they are actually, and it's because I think it's because of the kind of sense of camaraderie, like kind of, and we also they're the smaller community, like the Quad that we just launched Quad. We're very much manually connecting people to each other. So, right now it's under 100 people. We're about to have 100 come in as one group. So it'll be, 160 or something. But we're very manually saying, oh, you said this, you might want to meet this person. So we're doing the matchmaking right now, which is a great thing to do at the very beginning.
Okay.
And they're coming back, they're asking questions, and they're finding high engagement in that level of community. So that's why they're coming back and promoting things and sharing best practices. It feels kind of a lot safer, I think, than the anonymity of a larger support-based community, which is purely Q&A, not about the person, but more about the question.
Okay. So what it means is that you pretty have to like set out from the get-go what type of community you want to grow. And
Mhm.
with support community, it's not so much around whether people actually engage with each other. It's more a question of how effective is your Q&A process, how quick are people at responding, And then there's more purpose-based or local communities where you actually look for engagement, the interactions, people really like caring about each other. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, like a community of practice kind of means that the community is really focused on providing a place for its members to kind of share skills and share resources versus like the support committee where they're just crowdsourcing information. And also, you know, the support communities require more staff. They're like I have this, like I mentioned, this kind of group of hosts because it's faster. Whereas the other one, like the community of practice and the community of purpose, they're really looking for connection. So once you kind of allow these members to come together looking for a sense of friendship or home base rather than a specific piece of information, they kind of do it themselves. So that's kind of you can like step back and let them take it on themselves.
Right. And so if we get down a little bit into our topic of how you turn an audience, like a passive audience, into an active community, you sparked my curiosity when we prepared for this talk, telling me that you had a technique to turn a tweet into a meeting.
Yes, I have my
Tell us about that.
my methodology of I have it actually listed here so I can read you the steps, but it's kind of what I always say is like the 7-step methodology to turn a tweet into a meeting. What I
Mm,
mean by that is so when you're growing a community, with social media, it makes it a lot easier. Back in the day, I had to kind of join email lists and talk about my community and recruit people, pull people from outside communities. Social media, you can actually sift through all the noise with third party tools, find the people that are like you, and then reach out to them and turn the tweet into a meeting. So, what I mean, so first of all, like you'll find the individual using a third party tool like Tweepsmap or Audience. Those are two. And those tools will mine the data of Twitter, which is as an open API, unlike Facebook or one of the others like LinkedIn, you can actually build tools on Twitter. So you can, for example, search a hashtag or a keyword in a bio or a location and find a specific type of person. From there, you would follow the Twitter account handle. Then you'd go through and like the person's tweets, but you don't just do the top couple because it's too obvious. So you kind of search through their feed and maybe scroll down a couple of years and use like selectively like a few. And then you might do a couple retweets of their content, but you're not going to just do what I call a drive-by retweet. You're going to retweet with comment why you specifically like it. So the person's going to be like, oh, she just liked my tweets and now she's retweeting my stuff. Like do it all within like a day so they
mhm.
notice you.
All
And
right,
then
that's step one and two or three. Yeah.
sorry.
That's step one, two, three.
Yes, exactly. Now I'm on step 4, which is
Yeah.
you're going to ask a question or reply to a tweet. So, like as a reply, you're going to ask a creative, smart question so that they notice you again. They have to answer you. So then you're really in their brain. That was step 4. So step
Four.
5 is when they answer, you like their answer. And
Okay.
then you might even retweet their answer and ask another question. And then step 6 is then you're going to add them to a Twitter list with a flattering name. This is the secret ingredient. So,
Mm.
for example, um, you get notified when you're added to a Twitter list. So when somebody adds me to a list that says community gurus or social media influencers or someone like inspired nonprofit community builders, I notice them because it's a flattering name. The list is public, so I see who else is on the list, and I think, okay, I'm grouped with her.
I'm in good company. Yep.
Yeah, and so then I'm happy. So then I like the person. So then when they follow me, so you don't follow them, like don't follow the person until all of those steps have happened. Then follow them so that the person
Ah.
follows you back. Then you send them a direct message and say, hey, and you want to ask a very specific question. What doesn't work for me is when someone says, hi, I really want to know what you do. And it's like, well, then you haven't done your homework. Or someone writes me on LinkedIn like,
Fair
hey,
enough.
tell me about nonprofits. It's like, well,
I'm
what
trying
specific?
to I'm trying to think about how I actually reached out to you, and I hope I didn't say that.
No, you were specific because here we are talking,
Yeah,
and so it was.
I'm
You
kidding.
have to be specific
Yeah,
because otherwise you're just getting like a rando who's kind of lazy. So you
yeah,
want to be, very specific in your invite, and then they usually say yes because by that time they know you, and so that's the 7 steps to turn a tweet into a meeting. And
that's
I can
awesome.
actually write a. I'm just gonna like copy and paste them in the chat
Yeah,
right here.
let's do
And
that.
so you guys can have them.
Yeah.
Actually, it's also pinned on my Twitter profile, but here
Okay.
they are.
Yeah.
Um, there you
Make
go.
sure we pop that in the chat.
And
Yeah.
it's also pinned to the top of my Twitter profile. My Twitter handle is this.
Great.
That's me.
Brilliant. Um, I didn't have to go through those 7 steps to get into a meeting with you, but it's
You
fine.
didn't. There's
Yeah,
only like
yeah,
one step or maybe two.
yeah.
It
The topic must have been really interesting and sparked your
was.
curiosity.
It
That's great.
was.
Okay, and so that really helps sort of as we just mentioned, bring people from an audience all the way up to a community. And then how do you actually like build communities of super fans?
So the building the community of super fans is really important. You definitely, everyone who's like a good community manager should know their top 10 fans. You should be able, at least 5, you should be able to know like off the top of your head, oh yeah, Jan, Robert, Jane, Peter, Matthew. Those are 5 of mine, and so you should be able to name your top 5 fans. And eventually, what you want to do is get those people together in a room or virtual room, and some I've not most of them I've never met in person. Actually, I've met them all only virtually, even though it's been 20 years, and ask them to start being your moderators. But the way that you basically you got to monitor their engagement not only on your platform but across all platforms. So what you hope is once you start seeing the people that are writing frequently, whatever platform it's on, you want to follow them on all the other platforms so that you're monitoring engagement and that they follow you back
Hmm,
on all of the platforms. And then you can report on that stuff. We have a spreadsheet that I can actually um, I'll put it right here, but here's an example of a spreadsheet that we have that is to monitor their engagement. So that's what we use at TechSoup, just to monitor the the different fans and their engagement. And you want to make sure that I hope that is the right spreadsheet I just included. I
that's
didn't check
fine.
that.
I can delete the message if it's not right.
Okay,
No problem at all.
I'm hoping that's correct. But
Yeah, that's correct. All
okay,
good.
good. So yeah, you can leave. You want to make sure that you know who they are, and then you want to start making connections with them, like connect with all of them on LinkedIn. People want to know that you're listening to them. So you want to make some meetings with each one of them and kind of have a direct one-on-one so that they feel an ownership of the community and so that you're hearing the community from the ground up. So you're actually like hearing from the actual users of the community what they want to see improved because
Cool.
they're your gold because they're in it every day. You're there managing it, so you might not be in every message. So you want to hear from them. What do they think? Also, you're so close to it that you might not realize some important thing that's missing. I learned so much. So then you want to make sure that you bring those members, those super fans together in one room, one virtual room, so that they know each other because the value that they're going to get from connecting with each other is something people don't often think about. They think of community as a one-way channel, but
Hmm,
it's not just about us talking to the users. It's really a rich community is about the users talking to each other, and we just step back. All we did was provide the platform. So you want to make sure that you make connections between your members and give them the opportunity to give you feedback and to listen and learn from them. So I have monthly meetings. Once you identify your super fans, have meetings with them, get their opinions, give them exclusive access to things you're thinking about. Like when we were deciding to launch Quad, I gave them access. I asked them what they thought, poll them, test their knowledge. Say, ask them, would this work? What do you think
yeah.
about it? And then encourage recruitment across platforms. If you're launching a new initiative, go to them first. Don't go pay focus group participants. Reward the people that are already your members and ask them, like, what do you think? So because they already know the values of your community. And then you want to engage them in campaigns. So the kind of the final step with it is like when you have, let's say, a fundraising campaign or a new platform, you want your members, especially your super fans, to feel the urgency to share the message so that it gets out there. So give them easily shareable messaging. Create a sharing kit with very like simple messages that are pre-written. So you did that for me so that they can easily, maybe they adjust it to be in their own words, but there's an image and there's some words so that they will be encouraged to share it. So that way you're spreading your network to the edges of their network. That's how you grow your community. I'm
That's
seeing, yeah.
that's amazing. And so, would you say that that group of super fans,
Yeah.
like, has to represent, I don't know, 5, 10%, or does it even not matter at all? You just have to have a big enough group for people to talk to each other and engage with each other. Is there
Yeah,
a correct number?
I don't think there is a correct number. I mean, so another community I launched a long time ago that's amazingly still active is this community in Second Life. I started the first nonprofit community in the virtual world of Second Life, and there were probably 10 super fans in that group. And I actually, the benefit of having an engaged group of super fans is I handed the whole community over to them. It was no longer kind of aligned with, it wasn't non-aligned with TechSoup, but we went in a different direction. They wanted to continue doing stuff in Second Life. So if you have that, you don't have to close down. You don't ever have to sunset a community. You can just hand it over to the members. And if the members have a sense of ownership, they'll keep it going, which is like
Yeah,
really the sign of a
that's actually a good
successful
test.
community.
Like, if your
Yeah.
community lives on, it means that you've created something.
Yeah, and I did the same with I also launched a community of community managers in San Francisco, and it was on meetup.com, and Meetup actually said it was their largest community of community managers that they ever had. And I handed that one to the people at CMX because I was unable to continue to run those meetups, and it's still going as far as I know. So
Yeah, it is. It is. I heard of them.
yeah, yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, that actually prompts a question on my side. How do you balance? Because I guess those meetups were like in real life meetups, right?
Right. That was the meetup was called OC Tribe, which stood for Online Community Tribe. And I
Oh,
handed
okay.
that over to CMX and it became the San Francisco CMX Connect.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
My question was, how do you balance like in real life and online meetups? Do you
Yeah.
actually meet in person with some of your community members?
Before the pandemic, I did every month. I mean, that was the OC Tribe meetup was a monthly meetup. I think it's important to have so many people in that meetup have told me they got jobs and became community managers because of that meetup. I love those stories. Like someone's interested in I mean, just like I started an online community as somebody who joined a lot of online communities, and then I was like, wait, I can do this as a job. Like these people, they're just interested in them. They don't know that they can join, and so then the networking happens like over wine after the presentation. Someone gives a presentation, there's Q&A, and then the networking is where that happens. And most people in this field get jobs from who they know. It's not
Mm,
about like applying without ever having been heard of. It's like it's
yeah,
who you know.
right.
And there's always a back channel. I think it's really important, and especially as a community manager, to always have a back channel in online community. So we did that via Twitter with a hashtag. So it's like it's the best way to do it. So that way you're keeping two conversations simultaneously going. And the beauty of having an online back channel is that it's not like somebody's interrupting you and talking loudly while you're presenting. They can keep a whole chatter going, and it doesn't distract you because it's online. So just
Yeah.
keep a consistent hashtag. And then you can form a whole community around a hashtag that exists after the event is done, which is what we did with OC Tribe. It became
Mm,
its own community tag. And I think that's also still going.
right. Okay. On Twitter then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Terrific. That's great. I guess the next question was, how do you, is there, because TechSoup is also about helping nonprofits finding the right tools and using the right tech to meet their amazing goals. How do you bring your people from your community to your services? Is there a link between community and product at TechSoup. Do you have any objectives, like some sort of conversion objectives of converting a TechSoup, like say a quad community member into a TechSoup user?
Well, you have to be for Quad, you have to be a TechSoup member to join Quad. It's a
Okay.
membership-based community. But the other way around, the question and answer support community, that is the community to support our products. So people pretty much only come to us after they've bought a product or they have a tech question, and then they ask it. But we also had good SEO. So people were asking, like, what do you do with a dead computer? And then they would ask it in the forums and somebody would answer them. But in terms of a conversion, we try not to be salesy in the forums. We really want to be a helpful community.
Mm,
I think that's kind of, it's very important to not use your community as just a megaphone for sales. Like
yeah.
it should be after the sale, like as support and as the benefit of buying. It shouldn't be somewhere to sell because then you have no authenticity.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Something that we find hard to balance as well, even at
Yeah.
Melting Spot, because we host this community lab and we try to be um, as little commercial as possible, but at the same time we run a business and we still need to talk a little bit about what we do. But it's a really really good one and a fine balance. Do you find that sometimes as maybe an auto promotion channel or somewhere where you can actively promote separate to the rest of the forum is a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, we do webinars and we do events based on products that are more informational. We do product demos, live events that are very much based on the products that we offer in our catalog or we sell.
Okay.
We don't use the word sell because we're a nonprofit, but and those the people that attend those are people who know us because they are our community members.
Yeah.
You know, people who come to this event, for example, will understand that they're on your platform and then they'll be curious and then you can do a demo
Yeah.
separate from the event itself. I
Yeah.
mean, ultimately, when you're in the business of community management, you have to understand what platform you need. So when you're launching your community, do you where do you want to be? That's the first question to ask. Do you want it to be an email list or do you want it to be a message board or a live product? So it's like the product platform question comes first. So it is an important question, and it's very much dependent on the kind of community that you intend to launch.
Cool. All right. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Susan. Quick question on tooling. Are the tools that you use to run your communities important? Is it something that you put a lot of effort into, or yeah, what do you think of tools that
Yeah,
you
the tools are critical. So like I mentioned earlier, we use these third-party tools to know our Twitter audience.
do?
I
Yep.
cannot recommend them enough. The two of them I mentioned were Tweepsmap and Audience. I'm going to write
Hmm.
them here, and you can get them through TechSoup. See, this is an
Okay.
example of how I'm subtly promoting our products if you're
Yeah.
a nonprofit. Um, but if you're not a nonprofit, you can get them on your own. But these two tools are, I think, really important
Okay.
to know your audience in Twitter. Also, we're using Circle for Quad. We're using the platform Circle. So you have to, and in our forums, we're using Discourse. You have to
Okay.
figure out what the best platform is for your typical community and where you want to be. I mean, it might just be that a Facebook group will be enough,
Yeah.
but then there might be anonymity concerns with your community, and then you wouldn't want to be in Facebook. So you really have to kind of go through that, and I'm happy to help people with that and talk. They just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you brainstorm that if that's a question you have.
Cool. I'll share your details in the chat. This will be the only commercial announcement on my part, but
Yeah.
we are launching on Product Hunt today, and so we'll be sharing the page to our Product Hunt launch. If you want to show love and support, you can give us a vote as a community platform. So that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Susan. It's like time's already up.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, it went very, very quick. Thank you so much for being with us. In the audience, if there's any follow-up question, feel free to pop it in the chat. We'll be notified of questions even after the show, and Susan will be able to read them. And if not, we'll share Susan's details if you have any further questions. Thank you so much for being with
Thank
us,
you.
Susan. And
Great. It was a great
no
time,
doubt,
and I think this platform's awesome. So I can't wait to try it ourselves at TechSoup. Thanks.
yeah, great. We'll be in touch.
Take-
Speak to you soon,
Yes.
Susan.
Take
Cheers.
care.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.